everybody, Fiber Spider back again in the kitchen with another tasty video for you. Today we are going to be making one of my favorite dishes, pasta. And what better way than to make our own pasta from scratch? Yes, I have been doing this for a bit now and I absolutely love the results. It is pretty darn easy. It just takes flour and eggs. Now, there are a million variations out there, to be sure. However, I have done this a couple times. It has worked for me, and, well, I love its simplicity. And the best part is that fresh pasta, not only does it cook up really fast, but also it freezes well too. So you can make it in advance, pop it in the freezer, and you have a very quick meal in minutes. It's fabulous. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hello again. All right, so we are all set to go. I've got my eggs, I have my flour, I just need my scale, and then we can get started. So, what you are going to want to do, yes, you are going to want a scale. If you don't have a scale, well, there is sort of some wiggle room. So first, turn this on. Okay, unit, setting it to grams. Now, the basic rule of thumb is 100 grams of flour for every egg that you use. And that amounts to about 1 serving of pasta, okay? So, I have 4 eggs, so I'm going to add 400 grams of flour. Now, if you don't have a scale, you could use a domed topped 3/4 cup of flour, but I like the scale. So let's do 400 grams. Also, because not all eggs are created equally, and the eggs are the only thing that's giving us any moisture, I do have a small bowl of water on hand, just in case. Sometimes a little bit extra is needed to bring the dough to a nice, soft, silky texture. So I'm already at 200, 240, 271, we're getting there. 326, 348, 383. Oop, got it. Okay, there we go. We have our 400 grams. Lovely. Okay, now put you away. There we are. Okay, now from here, also going to need a fork. There we are. Actually, I like the little ones better. Let's do that. Okay, from here, going to make a well in the center of our flour, like so, and dump our eggs in. Now, a lot of people, they will do this on the countertop. Ugh, it rubs me the wrong way. It's just all over the place. So I personally like to do this in a nice large bowl for starters. So dumping our eggs into the middle of the well here, more or less. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now for the mixing. Now also, yes, you could use a stand mixer with a dough hook. I like simplicity, quite frankly. So I'm going to start by breaking up the yolks a little bit with my fork, and then slowly incorporating the flour, bringing it in from the sides as I go, sort of creating a bit of a slurry, and just keep mixing in a little bit of the flour as I go. And then eventually this will be really thick, let me tell you. So we're just, a little bit at a time. Now, if the eggs that I'm using aren't quite big enough, I may need to use a little bit of water, probably about a tablespoon at a time. See, this is quality entertainment, right? Getting nice and thick like pudding already. And then eventually, once it's a more cohesive mass, then I will use my countertop, which, yes, you do want to use a nice, clean countertop. Also, if you have a bench scraper, that is not a bad thing to have on hand either. Okay, yes, we've got ourselves something that is kind of resembling dough already. Okay, really coming together now. All right, here we go. Pretty soon I can start using my little hands. Now, before I put it on the counter though, I want to try to incorporate as much of the flour as I can. No mushy wet spots in our dough. Okay, not bad, but now I think I have to go in with my hands. Okay, so at this point I figure we've done about as much as one can do with our fork. Let's go in with the big guns. All right, and yes, initially this will be very sticky, but we'll get there. Just incorporate everything together. And once we have brought it together, then the real work starts. Because the trick is kneading this until your arms fall off. Hence why you might want to use a stand mixer. But like I said, I like to do things the hard way. Makes me feel like I'm earning what I'm getting. So as you can see, we do have some actual dough here, but we also have a lot of really dry, crinkly bits. So it is at this point that I am very, very much tempted to add just a little bit of water. Otherwise, the vast majority of this is not going to get incorporated. So, just a little bit. Just a little bit of water. And of course, if you accidentally add too much water, well, you can always add a little bit more flour. There is some wiggle room involved. By the way, I don't believe I have said it, but what I'm using, sorry if I forgot, what I'm using is regular all-purpose flour. I'm not using, 00 or semolina. No, I'm just using regular all-purpose flour that I got from Walmart, and I'm just using regular eggs, I'm going very, very simple here. Okay, now, our dough has certainly come together. However, yes, we still have a lot of very dry and crinkly bits. And the texture that we're going for is going to be very, very silky and smooth and absolutely gorgeous, but we have to work for it. So, let's see how much of this I can work in. It's not quite having it. So, you know what? Let me just add just a little bit more water. That should be plenty. All right, and work that in. Okay, we are getting close here. You know, it's still just a squidge dry. You know, you always want to go slow. You don't want to add too much too fast. Otherwise, you end up with soup. And yeah, the surface of it is rather mushy at the moment, but when you work in that moisture, it will disperse. Not to worry. There we go. Now we are getting something that looks like what we need. It's a tad sticky, but the more I knead it, the more that should work itself in. Here we go. All right, I think we are at the point where we don't need the bowl anymore. All right, so I'm gonna set my timer for about 15 minutes. Now, I am not going to film the entire 15 minutes of me kneading, no, but going to show you just some very basic sort of kneading techniques. Gonna get my surface floured here, and let's get into this, shall we? So basically, pushing down and away, and continuing to do so over and over and over again until we have worked up the gluten and hydrated all of the flour that we have put in. And eventually, yes, you will end up with a very nice, smooth, silky texture. It is going to feel gorgeous. Now, right now, it is pretty nice, except you can see how it's tearing. It's not nearly ready yet. No, I've got a long way to go. And then, after our dough has been fully kneaded, then we get to let it rest in the fridge. Now, some people say, oh, half an hour, hour. You know, me, personally, I like to let it rest overnight. That way I know the dough has officially had a nice snooze, the gluten has relaxed, and it will be that much easier to roll out. Get all these little bits off here. There we go. And if you had a bad day, this is a great way of getting out some stress. It's also really, really rhythmic and meditative. And if you haven't done it, try it. Also, the reason why I decided on 4 eggs is because when we divide up our dough later, it's a lot easier to divvy up a ball into 4 equal pieces as opposed to 3 or 5. So that is why I go with 4. All right, we are definitely making some nice progress here. Certainly not ready as of yet, but it's definitely nice and pliable. It's not sticking to my hands anymore. But I've got about another 11 plus minutes of kneading to go. Now, of course, midway you can take a break. Nothing wrong with that. But I figure I don't exercise, so this is this is my exercise. Also, if any of you have made your own pasta before and you have had different experiences, hey, let me know in the comments section by all means. You know, if you have different techniques, if you think I'm doing something right, wrong, indifferent, what have you, hey, let me know. I'm all ears. Just be constructive, that's all I ever ask. So as you can see, it has the beginnings of a really nice texture. We are getting there. Ultimately, what we're going for is a really nice, smooth, sort of satiny finish. We'll get there. So I figure, you know what, for the rest of the kneading time, I'm going to do that off camera, and I will meet back up with you in a short while, all right? I will see you soon. Alrighty, so I've been kneading for about 15 minutes, give or take. And yes, I did take a break or two in between because it's not difficult, but you know, it's the repetitive motion, working muscles that you don't normally work. Well, yeah, a break is sometimes called for, but the results of all of this kneading has made a drastic improvement on the texture of the surface of the dough. Look at how silky smooth. I wish that you could feel this. It feels so silky and delightful. Also, it is not sticky. That is very important because if you are going to run this through a pasta machine, the last thing you want is mushy, sticky dough getting caught up in your machine. Now, I think that the pasta machine that I got was one of the best investments that I could have made because it made the process so much easier. You can roll it out by hand and cut it by hand. Yeah, you totally can. However, I love my pasta machine, not gonna lie. So, also, another thing that you'll notice is that after all of this kneading, the surface will not tear like it does when you first start. You just got to keep at it. And so, yeah, at this point, I figure we are essentially done. Now, as I mentioned before, you are going to want to you are going to want to let this rest in the fridge for at least a half an hour. I'm going to let it rest overnight. It is, well, it's 5:03 in the morning. You know I'm a night owl. So, gonna get a nice big piece of saran wrap here. Yeah, it's 5:03 in the morning right now. So I figure when I wake up, get myself situated, this will be ready to rock. So I'm just gonna wrap this up nice and tightly. You do not want this drying out, believe you me. In fact, I am going to do a second layer just because I'm paranoid. And the last thing you want is air getting to your dough, because then it'll dry out, and that will be no fun. So let's do that. All right, and we are ready to rock. So I'm gonna let this sit in the fridge overnight, and I will see you tomorrow or in just a minute. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hello again. All right, so it is the next day and we are going to be making our pasta. Yes, so my dough has been sitting in the fridge, patiently waiting. And right now it is 12:20 in the morning. I think we left this at about 5 something in the morning yesterday. So yeah, it's been a little less than 24 hours. You don't need to let it sit in the fridge that long, but I've been busy working on some crochet projects. What can you do, right? So we are going to get down to business. Now, here we have my pasta machine. This is an Imperia. Now, of course, everybody has their own opinions as to what is the best pasta machine known to man. Well, I heard some good reviews, I decided to go for it, and I think it is one of the best investments I have made. So, I'm going to set this up real quick. Don't really need the instruction booklet. This is a guide for when you are making your sheets of dough. I've never used it. I managed just fine. Also, something that is not included in the box, which you should have, believe it or not, a toothbrush. Yes. You can't wash this machine because of the metal it's made out of. However, you can wipe it and you can brush it. Now, you're going to want something as far as a brush goes because you don't want little dry bits of dough getting into the gears and so forth. So that's what I've been using. Well, mind you, a clean toothbrush. And we've got a clamp and a crank. And now keep in mind, this is heavy. This is very heavy duty. This is not lightweight. Now here we have our cutting adjustments here. We've got this finer one for the spaghetti, and then we've got a wider one for linguine or fettuccine. So we have that. And then, last but certainly not least, the actual pasta machine, which we have right here. And so we're going to clamp this to my countertop. Just scooch this up just a little bit more. Okay, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, right? Okay, I'm going in the opposite direction. There we go. Aha. Now you want to make sure that this is firmly clamped onto your countertop. You do not want this moving around, believe you me. All right, are we good? We're good, okay. All right, and then we're also going to add our cutter. I can get this. There, okay. So this is the cutting side, and this is the flattening sheet creation side. And then we have our handle, which we're going to put that in the sheet making side first. There we go. And always make sure that the dial on the opposite side is set to the largest width setting by all means, because, well, you can blow out the dough, you can blow out the gears. You don't want to do that. So can't stress that enough. Start with the widest setting. And also, you're going to want a bowl of flour, bench scraper, that never hurts. And also, over on the side here, I have a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper, and that is going to be for capturing our little nests of noodles once we get going. So let's get to it, shall we? Okay, so first thing, I'm going to take my dough, and I'm not going to start with the entire ball of dough. No, we're going to go piecemeal, if you will. And I'm only going to start with 1/4 of our dough ball. Like I said, I did 4 servings because we did 4 eggs. So I'm going to cut it in half again, and work with that to begin with. So approximately half. Getting there. I tell you, I absolutely love this. I got a dough whisk, and it came with it, and I tell you, it is one of my favorite things in the kitchen. There we go. And then we're going to take half of this guy here, approximately. Okay. And then you do not want your dough drying out. So I'm going to wrap this up. Put it on the side. There. Okay. Now this guy here, going to take just half of it because I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of Lady and the Tramp spaghetti. No, I like noodles that are a little bit shorter than that. There we are. So just going to start off with a piece this size, 1/8 of what we started with. And then begin by flattening it out a little bit with your hands, sort of a doughy pancake. Because also, you know, when you're running it through here, some people, they actually roll it out first with a rolling pin before putting it through here. I don't find that that's necessary. Just flatten it out a little bit with your hands. Then make sure that it is floured, most definitely, because you do not want this sticking to the inside of your machine. And so we're just going to run it through again on the thickest setting, which for me on my machine is a 6. Just making sure. And then get it ready and then start cranking. And there you go. And then I'm going to run it through again. Some people do, 3-4 times per thickness setting. I just do about twice. And then give it another slight dusting on both sides. And then we'll do this guy. See, what I like to do is I like to do 1 serving at a time. Don't ask me why, it's just the method to my madness. So even though this is 2 pieces, this is essentially 1 serving of pasta. And then I will take what I make here, and I will put it into a plastic baggie, pop that in the freezer, and I will have myself a jolly meal. There we go. Pop it through again for good measure. All right. Sprinkling of flour on both sides. Very nice. Then down to a number 5, and so on and so forth, until you reach the desired thickness that you're going for. Now, I have done it as fine as a thinness of 1. Honestly, I found that it was like thinner than angel hair. It was a little bit too thin for me. So I personally like something a little bit more robust, like a 2 or a 3. Okay. Again, want to make sure that your sheets are well dusted. Okay, down to a 4. There we go. Making some progress here. Come on. Okay. Down to a 3. And I think I'm going to stop at a 2. All right. That is a 2, right? Yep, that's a 2. Okay. Now, of course, if you're in the mood for something other than spaghetti or linguine noodles, you don't have to use the cutting part on the other side if you don't want to. Now, if you want to, you could take this sheet and you can turn it into raviolis or, rigatoni or penne, farfalle, really whatever you want. By all means, get creative with your bad selves. Personally, I haven't gone in that direction myself yet. Do I plan to? Definitely, but I haven't done it yet. Okay, we've got quite a length going on here. My goodness. Woo! And it is nice and thin. In fact, I can see the pattern of the marble slightly through it, which is kind of cool too. All right, so from here, we're going to do the cuttings. Okay, now before I start and do the cutting on the machine, always, always, always make sure to set your dial back to the widest setting. Otherwise, yes, you're gonna run into a problem down the road. So then we take the crank from here and pop it into here. Now there are 2 holes on either side here. If I want the spaghetti, into this one. If I want the linguine, pop it into this one. I think let's go with spaghetti. Actually, you know what? I'll show you both for good measure. So we'll do the spaghetti first. And I tell you, I love how this works. It is marvelous. Just want to put it in just right first. Pardon me. There we go. And there you see it coming. Yay! Now, what I like to do is I like to grab when this sheet is at its widest point, then I grab the noodles as they're coming out. All right, now what I did not do is sufficiently flour my dough before I put it in. Not to worry, it's quite all right. So now I'm going to give my noodles a good toss in the flour so that they don't stick to each other. That is a bit of a beast, let me tell you. You know, you don't want to end up with one big noodle clump. And there you go. Spaghetti fit for a spider. So just shake out a little bit of the extra flour and then plop it onto your baking sheet. Now, did I do that effortlessly and smoothlessly? No. No, I think I could have added just a little bit more flour to my sheet before running it through. That is okay though. So you know what? Let's do the spaghetti once more. Let me just make sure. Yeah, okay, it's clear. All right, so going to sprinkle my sheet here. Make sure that it is well floured, both sides. See, hey, I make mistakes too. I'm a human spider. I'm showing you what not to do. All right, so from here, with a well-floured sheet, pop it on through. There we go. All right, now, there we go. Isn't that beautiful? Much better. This is what I was going for. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. And then, like I said, yes, at this point, you do want to sprinkle your pasta with some flour because, yeah, you don't want this sticking to itself. You will end up with a big clumpy mess if you don't. All right, and then take this over to your tray, create sort of a nest. And there you go. Now, what you can do, if you are of a mind to do so, you can also do this process completely by hand without the use of a machine. Is that my forte? No. No, it is not my forte. However, for the sake of demonstration purposes, you know what? I'm feeling game. You know, I think we can give it a whirl. Have I tried this before? Yes. Have I succeeded? Not really. But you know what? I think that for the sake of being thorough, let's give it a whirl. All right, so again, taking 1/4 for one full serving. Just going to clear my area just a little bit with my bench scraper here. Makes life so much easier, I can't tell you. And got my rolling pin here. So I'm going to start off by flattening it out a little bit, and we're going to try to go for a length. Now, yes, I could have taken a shortcut and I could have used the machine, but I felt, you know what, let's be fair about this. This is how they used to do it back in the day. So just going to try to roll this out as thin as I can get it. If it starts to stick to the counter like it is right now, just add a little bit of flour. Now the reason why I like the machine as much as I do is because, as you can see, it's starting to squinch back on me, you know, and that is one of the reasons why I got the machine in the first place. It really forces the dough into, well, submission, if you will. It's like, yep, you're going to show it who's boss. And again, you're going to want to get this as thin as possible so that you can practically see through it. Now also, if I'm going for a rectangular shape, gonna keep at it. Going to just keep at it. You know, they also say, you know, let it rest and then start again. You know, honestly, me personally, I haven't had a tremendous amount of luck rolling out pasta dough this way, but for science, It's getting thin-ish. What I find funny is that those two piles of pasta, we did the exact same amount of dough. These are going to be some thick noodles. There we go. Some actual progress there. Woo! Okay, I'm going to do this for just a bit more, and then I'm going to call it a day as far as this goes. Ultimately, this is going to be the final length of said noodles, if that's how I choose to roll it. Okay, you know what? I think we're good. You know, after about 5 minutes of rolling it out, I think we have pretty much reached the apex of what I can do. Alrighty, so make sure that it is well floured. Can't stress that enough. And then we're gonna jelly roll it. Yep. So start off at one end and just start rolling. You don't want it to be very tightly rolled, but you do want to roll it. Voila, instant jelly roll. And then, aha, on guard. Then we're going to just make our slices as wide or as narrow as we want them to be. Really, it depends on what kind of width of pasta that you're looking for. Now, if I do this well and successfully, I will end up with basically a fettuccine width of noodle. I don't know, we will see. This may be an abject failure, but hey, I'm willing to try for you guys. And if it was a total fail, well, all the more reason to get the pasta machine. So we now have our noodles. Will they unfurl? Yes. We have unfurling noodles. Ta-da! Yes, they're a little bit thick for my taste, but it worked for the most part. Yeah, because you definitely want to make sure that you flour up your surface. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. And then just make sure that all of your noodles are unfurled and separated, and then give them a flour bath. And then, yeah, set them up just like you did your previous bundles in little nests. And then after they are in their little bundles, with the flour and so forth, you want to let them sit for about 15 minutes, half an hour or so. And then they will be good for either cooking, whether it's boiling or, if you want to make soup, throw them in the broth. I have made a lovely homemade ramen soup this way. They're not officially ramen noodles, but for me and my purposes, it works. Or you can put them in a little Ziploc bag, pop them in the freezer, and you are good to go. So this gives you an idea. This is very rudimentary, mind you. I realize that. Am I an expert? Heck no, but I'm a very enthusiastic novice, and if I have some little bits of experience and wisdom that I can give to you guys, hey, I'm delighted to do so, even if it means making a bit of a silly mess out of myself. It is okay. And there we go. So we've got our pasta here. Give it a good sprinkling with flour. And there we go. All right. And there we are. Alrighty, my dears, so that is going to conclude today's video on how to make homemade pasta. I really hope that you liked today's video, and I want to thank you for joining me today. Now, I know that, like I've said, I am by no means an expert. I'm an enthusiastic novice, but hey, I love what I do, and that's what counts, right? And if it inspires you to make some as well, yay! Now, I am going to put a link to the pasta machine down in the description box down below. It is not a sponsorship. It is, it's not an affiliate link. No, it's just me sharing what I know with you guys. I don't get any credit for this whatsoever, but I love the machine. I've used it a bunch of times already, and I really like working with it. It's very easy, and I don't know if I will ever buy store-bought pasta again. I absolutely love the process, and is it time-consuming? Yeah, but most good things that are worthwhile take time and a little bit of effort, but the fact that I can take that same sheeting of pasta and I can turn it into a whole bunch of other different pastas, I absolutely love it. And it's versatile, it's tasty, and there are certain things that I will never give up if I can at all help it, and carbs being one of them. I do love me some pasta. Anywho, as always, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and you know what to do until next time, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay making fun, fabulous, and tasty things in the kitchen. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, everybody, and stay al dente.